Minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Peace, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at TVP Radio. We'll be talking about things that you know or need to know. We'll be back. Peace. All right, peace. Welcome back. All right, so today is really not going to be long. Just a little bit of something that I found that I found it pretty interesting, and some of you may find it interesting as well. Just like we always say here, things that you know or need to know. Now, we've all been seeing a lot of people passing out flyers and clipboards and stuff like that, talking about the decriminalization of marijuana and stuff. Talking about it. Because there are lots of states that have actually voted about marijuana and getting it to be legalized or be decriminalized. But the thing that really could help it is what I'm going to show you today. So one of the things that I found, I just love that the conversation was started from this perspective. So let's go ahead and jump in it and talk about it just a little bit more in depth. So, I was doing some research looking for what's going on right now. I'm not gonna lie, I'll be real transparent. It's looking real scarce as far as how much information is being pushed out in the culture. To find things that resonates with the Black culture. Of course, yeah, you got your news there, the other websites and stuff like that. A lot of those websites say first this, first that, but I'm looking for more substance, and it's getting kind of hard to find it. But don't worry, I am going to continue to look for it. I am going to continue to find it. So today's things things you either know or need to know. So we're going to be talking about this today. So yes, again, we've heard, and we've seen the people coming around with the clipboards talking about the decriminalization of marijuana, but now HBCUs are beginning to establish marijuana programs, and I think this is very, very, it's a power move, and the reason why I say it's a power move is because we should be in that space. Our society itself begins to continue to shift the notion about cannabis or marijuana, but when you begin to teach it from a educational institution of an HBCU, it will begin to most likely play a key role to allow Black people to then benefit from the fast growing social and economic movement. And I think it's very smart to do so because we're kind of secretly being we've had complications with the industry itself. As far as our young boys going to jail or our young men and young women going to jail, or even old heads going to jail for marijuana. But then you got their counterparts that is not going to jail doing the same thing that they did. But I think to when you begin to change that, because Black people have found themselves phased out of the weed industry. And the reason why I call it an industry is because there's a difference between a hustle and an industry. And a hustle is not necessarily an industry. A hustle is the activities that you do in order for you to create, well, to make income. But an industry actually has commerce attached to it, and the activities is still the same, but there is commerce, there's an economy attached to it, and I think that this will begin to help that out. Historically there has been social stigmas and legal parameters that surround cannabis, and has led to so much anguish in the black community that we've lost fathers and sons and mothers and daughters because they've been trying to find ways to put more money into the home, but now they were going to jail. Some are still going, some are still locked up for that. But even though it's legalized in like Las Vegas, in Nevada and in Las Vegas, there are people that are growing it legally. But now it is now the conversation is being had a whole lot more in the other states. And I think this HBCU that are beginning to teach that, I, I think it's a good look. I really do think so, because there are growing numbers of HBCUs that are beginning to establish the programs to fight against, the whitewash of the cannabis industry, and preparing the students to finally to begin to reap the benefits of working in this new and growing economy. And I think it's very smart for that. I mean, it's like now you can get a true degree, you know, in the program, and I think it's pretty dope. I think it was a good thing to do. Those prominent black institutions like Florida A&M or FAMU, as they will call it, Southern University, Clark Atlanta, Tuskegee University, Carolina A&T. I think it's a good thing, and I think it's strong, because after they have extended its medical marijuana program, Southern University actually became the first HBCU to actually launch its own THC medical cannabis product, and they call it AYO. So if you want to look that up, put in Google Southern University THC medical cannabis or medical marijuana, whatever you want to call it, and put in AYO. And I think that it's a strong move for them to do so, because now the school itself doesn't necessarily have to, worry or solely wait for contributions to be poured into from alumni or whatever type of grants that federally come down, but now they have a product that they sell that becomes an additional stream of income outside of government funding or student enrollment. So I think that is very positive and very strong. So there are a total of 18 HBCU agricultural schools in the U.S. And these 18 agricultural schools, I've already named some, but there's also like University of Arkansas, Delaware State, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, Texas State University, Alabama A&M, and of course Prairie View. Can't leave them out. PV, real strong here in Texas. But I think this is a good move. I think whoever came together as a board and made this decision to create a program that you get a degree program. Let me put it in that way. A degree program that you can graduate with the degree in doing this. So now, not only will you have a degree in this, when the marijuana industry began to become legalized in your city, or in your state, I should say, in your state, now you have the ability to create commerce. So now you're creating a next line, or a next level of entrepreneurs that have the ability to tap into that industry and to legally grow and embed themselves in the industry that have, like I said in the past, been whitewashed because other people was getting it. Now you have the ability to get it, legally, of course. So it's a good thing, and I think it's a positive thing, and it could definitely begin to change how people live. And I think it's a way to change how it can begin to tear down those stereotypes because it is economics. I'm not a person who partake, I don't smoke none of that stuff, but I would invest if if I found somebody like say Texas legalized it in this state. And then you have dispensaries popping up and stuff like. Now I would invest into that because that's that's economics. That's money that can be made because of the industry. But now you have a student, like say a student at PV, Prairie View, a student at PV graduates, and now they have people that is investing into them, and they're going out and they're buying warehouses or they're buying plots of land and putting other warehouses on it, and then they could become one of the biggest farms here in the state of Texas, and it could be black owned. So now, when they're creating that commerce, they have the ability to pour into their communities because someone gave them an opportunity to learn a program that could benefit his or her community, and it can get bigger, better, and faster. So, shouts out to all 18 A&M programs in the states of in the United States for looking into it. I'll say that, looking into it. Hopefully all 18 actually do it, and I think it'll be beneficial. Culturally, economically, when municipalities look at how much that they can make when they actually have things that could be beneficial for their city. Because I found something out too. Do you know how much the state of Texas poured into what is this? The state next to it. Um, well, up top, I think the state of Texas poured like I think someone told me like 4.5 or 1.5 million dollars into Oklahoma once it got legalized. And there was another state, I think it's to the west, the state of Texas poured that much money again into the other state just because it's legalized. But again, that's just my conversation. I'm only talking about the economics of it. I'm not talking about, any other stuff, just the economics. Because what if in the state of Texas, they actually legalized marijuana and they actually legalized um, casinos? Because we're already losing a lot of money. Now, I'm a vet, so I'm not talking down on my vets. They're already losing a lot of money from the veterans that are 100%. So I think that could be a way that you can make up for the 100% that you've lost because the veterans aren't paying any property tax. You can make it up. I mean, three, four times over if you bring in casinos in this state and I should say that if you allow casinos to be built and operated in this state and also allow the legalization of marijuana because you're going to tax it anyway. I'm just saying, if you're going to tax it, you're going to make money. And because you're making commerce in that economy, then you have the ability to make a new type of economic structure. That's just my 2 cents, and I'm gonna leave it alone. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to get on and talk about today because I just found it very fascinating that HBCUs are approaching it from a degree from a degree perspective, and I just thought it was pretty dope. They're not going around with now. I love the folks that's going around with the clipboard and stuff like that, but they're approaching it from a degree program perspective. So as it becomes legalized, because if you look at a map and you look at the amount of HBCUs that are, if you look at the national map and the amount of HBCUs that are here in the United States, it really flows real strong along the east southern region. So I mean, the majority of the HBCUs on the east and the southern portions of the United States. So tap into your HBCUs. See, I mean, they might have online courses or something like that with that program. I think it would be beneficial in the long run. So even if we sent, in our communities, we gave scholarships for someone to go to that A&M and go through that program, and then as they begin to learn that process, and you have investors on the other end waiting for them to graduate, they come back home, investors buy the land, investors put Z modular houses on the land and begin to incorporate that into the community. That's real group economics. That is sending someone to get educated and to come back into the community and then re-educate us. And then we learn how to create that system and duplicate that system, and we can do it over and over again. All right, so that's all I wanted to say today. But I just had to get it out. Honestly, that's the only thing I found. But anyway, I'm not gonna tell it myself, even though I already did. But I appreciate you guys for being here at TBP Radio Sunday Talk, because the things you know or need to know. Y'all be blessed. Peace.